Hi, my name is Kelsie, and this is my story. I grew up in a Christian home, or what was viewed to be a Christian home. My parents fought a lot, and we went to church on Sundays, and we did the usual thing, like going to Sunday school, going to church, going to Wednesday services, and it was just, yeah. My whole life, or my childhood at least, my parents fought a lot, a lot. And it was always really stressful, because when I look back, that's really what I have memories of, and it's not the typical picture perfect childhood. When I was about 10 or 11, I went to Tracy's camp, and it was this Christian camp, and I got to go, and it was really cool because I was 10 and got to go to camp by myself. And I had learned when I was a kid, growing up, who Jesus was and what he had done for me. And but I think at that moment I remember that I asked Jesus to come into my heart, because I saw the magnificent things that he had done for me, and I thought I understood, and I wanted that in my heart. I wanted him to guide my direction. In that period of time, when I got older, my dad went to the ministry, and he really set a really good example for me as to who Christ was and how I was supposed to trust him. And I remember going to church, and I would not really want to go, and I'd find reasons to stay home and stuff, and I didn't really absorb what I needed to, and I knew that. I found myself in a really dark place, within my parents going back and forth, and I began to harm myself, and yeah, I didn't see my worth in that. I didn't understand what God was doing, and I had made that decision. So as I got a little bit older, and my parents, they started to get along more, and it just got better. It felt like things were finally coming to this place where it was kind of middle ground, and things were good. It got better, and then my mom suffered a massive stroke, and then about 6 days later, they pronounced her brain dead, and that basically means that there was no brain activity, so she was dead, like my mom. I remember sitting beside her bed and holding her hand and just being like, God, I don't understand what you're doing. I had not trusted. I had trusted in God, but I had not fully put my heart into it. I don't even think I understood at that point, that I had to put my all on for this. I had to put everything down in order for my heart to be given to God, because he didn't want just the good parts of me. He wanted all of me, and I didn't understand that, and I had to trust. And but I remember holding her hand and being like, God, I have no idea what good is going to come out of this. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what your plan is, but your plan is going to prevail over mine, no matter what. And I was like, Mom, you do what you need to do, and it's just going to go. It's gonna go how God wants it to, and that's the only thing I clung to for the next couple months. After her passing away, it was really different, because my dad had always worked, and we had never really seen him. Well, I mean, we had seen him, but we'd seen him at night, after work, and we'd see him long enough to say, "Night, Daddy, love you," and we'd go to bed. And he took a different shift, and we got to see him all the time. And it turns out my dad is king of dad jokes. It's great. But after this happened, I decided I needed to change. So I went from public school all my life to private school. And as I thought that change would be something that would benefit me, it tore me away from these people who wanted to comfort me, and who knew me from before what happened with my mom, and to people that I didn't know and that had really no desire for me and their friend group kind of thing. I was really outgoing before. I would talk in front of our school, which is 300, 400 kids, and it was really easy for me to be happy all the time, because that was my personality. And I went from that to talking to everyone, being friends with everyone, to My whole school year at private school, I talked to maybe 3 people, like regularly, and I'd go full days without talking to anyone. Like, I'd go through my day, and at that point in that year, I lost my way with God. I would say I'm turning to Him for this, but I didn't. And I roamed and I did my own thing, and I was looking for answers to like what God was doing, but I wasn't looking to God for the answers, which doesn't make any sense, and I know that now. But I was looking at these I was looking in all the wrong places. I was looking in this girl she lives kind of far away from us, but I was friends with her, and I was looking to her for answers, like waiting for her to tell me what I was supposed to do, and I lost my way a lot, and it kept in that pattern where I just relied on myself and the worldly things to kind of lead me into the direction I was supposed to go, rather than waiting for God to kind of like push me to where I needed to go. And that just kind of explains it all. So towards the end of school, in private school, I got a little better, and it got easier to talk to people, I guess, because atmospherically you just kind of get into a groove. So my dad had been kind of not looking, for a woman, but he met this really amazing lady, and I met her for the first time, and it was just kind of like, it fit. Like, it was like, okay, God, I got you. So as it kept going, we got to the summer, and we got to know her, and I started to look back into like, I know I'm supposed to be following God, like, what am I doing? And quickly as summer progressed, I was re-enrolled in private school, but a week before school started, I was like, oh, and I re-enrolled in public school. And then I started coming to the mix again, and I had been coming for 2 or 3 years before, but it was at that point that I really started to kind of listen. I'm not even gonna lie. When I first came back, it was really awkward, and I felt really out of place, because all these people seemed to like know each other and be this tight-knit family, and like everyone would just call each other by name, and it was just like, I don't know why, but I feel like I need to be here. Like, I feel like I have to be here. And so I started coming again, and then this woman that God had brought into our lives, it was crazy. She had a daughter, and she is like, her faith to me, we're all human, and like, we're all imperfect, but her faith was really inspiring to me, because she had been through so much, and I could look to her, like, through her heartache and through what her parents divorcing and losing people in her life, and she still had faith in God, and it showed me. We had a conversation towards Thanksgiving. It was literally a month before my dad and this woman got married, and I was talking to her daughter, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and she was like, Kelsie, like, when you like really, really trust in God, your heart is transformed. You're gonna have the fleshly desires, and you're gonna be tempted, but it's just, when you give your heart to God, like, fully, and you fully trust in that, it's like, you don't have really any desire to kind of like strive to be like Christ, because you are just doing that with how you're living. He knows all of my sins and everything I've done wrong more than anyone, and I had no reason to feel ashamed, to feel like I should hide that from him, because he knew that. And if I shouldn't be ashamed, because he sent his son to die so that I didn't have to be ashamed. Because if I was ashamed for the doubting that I had in him, for harming myself and thinking I wasn't good enough, that me being created in his image wasn't good enough, then like there'd be like no reason for Jesus to die. Like, there would be no reason for this perfect, pure person to die for me, It was crazy. And it was like that night, it just kind of clicked for me that through like everything I'd been through my brokenness, through my parents arguing, through losing my mom, through disconnecting with family members because of choices they had made that I didn't want part of. Like, through everything, like, it had all led up to this moment that it clicked for me that not only had I said God had a plan, like, he actually had a plan, and like, that was my plan. And then I had kept coming to the mix, and instead of just hearing Dell preach, I started absorbing what Dell preached. And then they mentioned student leadership, and I was like, I think I could do that. Like, I felt like there was a tugging on my heart that I was being called to do something. Instead of just like coming to here, I felt like it was like I should serve. And I got an application, and I was like, I can totally do this, until I was like, I can't talk to people. And I'd be signing up to talk to people. And that was just over my head, and I was like, okay, God, I don't think I can do this. And then I'd come to church with one of my friends one Sunday here at Alice Drive instead of attending my dad's service. And I remember Clay said something along the lines of, God is not going to have you do something that's comfortable. He's going to push you out of your comfort zone. And he's like, if you feel like God is calling you to do something, answer it. Don't just hear it and like disobey. So that was kind of like God going, Kelsie, that was at you. And I was like, oh, dang it. So I filled out my form and I turned it in, and just the way that God, the way he's worked, like, not only like just because of an application I turned in to be on student leadership, but in the way that he has shown me that through other people, how he's molded them, and that it's not, my brokenness doesn't define me. Like, everything bad that's happened to me, like, it doesn't, that's not who I am. It's because of that he has made me who I am. And I think that that's incredible. And that's my story.